Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. Go to H.A. Goodman for the live stream that's below in the pinned comment. Join the live stream now. Ladies and gentlemen, Supreme Court seemingly inclined to gut key provisions of Voting Rights Act. That's going to give 19 more House seats for Republicans. Here is exactly why, and I explained this in the live stream that just ended. President Trump almost won the Latino vote. He almost won the Latino vote. Hispanic and Latino voters saved this country from 4 more years of Biden, 21% increase in cost and prices, largest land invasion in generations under Biden in Europe. But here, President Trump winning 48% from 28% in 2016. Democrats losing from 66% to 51% the Latino vote. Just because you're of a specific ethnicity or if you're a person of color, that doesn't mean you're going to automatically vote Democrat. Check this out. Hit subscribe. Check this out.
Policy strategist May Mailman. May, it's great to see you here today. It looked like in oral arguments, the Supreme Court may be ready to put an end to Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, meaning no longer can you use race to gerrymander these minority districts. You can't ensure, for example, a black district in Georgia.
Yeah, it's 2025, and it is time to stop drawing lines on the basis of race. We've had a black president. We've had a black and Asian vice president. As we see the race right now in Virginia, Republicans are going to vote for the black candidate, and Democrats are going to vote against. We are in 2025. It's time to move on. But unfortunately, you see justices like Ketanji Brown Jackson who do not agree that we should move to a race-free society, and instead want to portray race as disability. They want to see this as a disability, something that should be treated, something that should be focused on. And that takes us well before the Civil Rights Act. And so that type of thinking, race as a disability, is exactly the type of thinking that we're trying to get away from, but that you see Democrats or that you see Ketanji Brown Jackson trying to elevate more and more.
Yeah, I think for anybody watching, they're probably sitting at home wondering, well, if you drew primarily and intentionally white districts, that would be not just racist, but it would be unconstitutional. And here we sit today, as you point out, in 2025, asking, why then can you do it in reverse? Why can you intentionally draw black or brown districts in America? The answer, by the way, the Supreme Court is debating is whether or not they are allowed to or compelled to by the Voting Rights Act. But as you point out, it's no longer 1965.
Yeah, in order to get these districts that have a black majority, states like Louisiana have to take pieces of New Orleans, pieces of Baton Rouge, snake around here, make a circle here, and it doesn't make any sense. If they were going to use neutral principles about keeping districts together, about incumbent protection, yes, sometimes about partisan advantage, but the things that people always use in redistricting, then it would look a lot different than this. And so what the Trump administration said is this is as if LSU had a policy where if a black student and a white student were totally equal, and the government is saying, but you have to pick the black student. That's what's going on here. It would never be allowed at LSU, but somehow it's being required under the Voting Rights Act.
In Congress, not allowed at LSU, but required for Congress.
And also, ladies and gentlemen, you have a huge problem in terms of Democrats. People don't like the Democratic Party. Republicans have higher favorability numbers. Check this out.
Trump's approval ratings are certainly nothing to write home about. And this is what Democrats are looking at in terms of a challenge to take back the House, the current balance of power. With those vacancies, if they are filled the way we expect them to be, it would be 220 seats for the Republicans. There it is, 220 for the Republicans, 215 for the Democrats. And that would mean Democrats really would only need a net gain of 3 seats to get the House. Now, keep in mind, Republicans are trying to redraw maps in a number of states right now to boost that total. So there may be more of a pad here for Republicans than meets the eye when you just look at this balance of power. So that's one challenge for Democrats. But of course, Democrats are hoping that this goes like the midterm did in Trump's first term. And if it did, this would be nothing because Democrats gained 40 seats. It was a blue wave in Trump's midterm. So the thing about that midterm the first time around was you could see it coming. from a long way away. October 2017, more than a year out, the generic ballot asking folks, which party do you want to see control Congress? Democrats were leading on average in the generic ballot by nearly 8 points. And this was the level they basically maintained through all of 2018, right up to Election Day, right up to the blue wave when they gained 40 seats and flipped the House. So where is the generic ballot right now? Well, Democrats lead it, but not by nearly as much.
So Democrats lead the generic ballot that's only within the margin of error. 3 points is the margin of error for most polls. Plus, they have still every conceivable advantage. People don't trust media anymore because media lies by omission, distorts the truth because it lies by omission or overtly lies. Trump was never a Kremlin operative. He never worked with Russia. He never said 1930s and 1940s Germans were fine people. None of these things were rooted in reality. They were all conjured up. You have media twisting and all of his quotes, ignoring any good things or policies that worked, blaming him for things he had no control over. The point is, people don't trust media. Media is not as influential, but it's the only thing keeping the Democratic Party afloat. They're losing voters. They're losing people of color in terms of voting. They're not favorable nationwide. You'll see that in a second.
A 3-point average lead for Democrats on the generic ballot now. So again, this is not terrible news for Democrats, but there was clarity even at this point in 2018 that something was coming. This number suggests you're not at that point right now. And one of the reasons Democrats may not be at the point has to do with this, the image of each party. Again, looking back here at October of 2017, if you looked at all the polling back then, neither party was popular, but one party was a lot less popular than the other. Republicans in Trump's first term, 27% average favorable score at this point. Democrats were up at 39%. There was a pretty clear imbalance there. It worked to the favor of Democrats. What do you have right now when you run these same numbers? Well, again, neither one's popular, but the Republicans are sitting at 41 favorable, the Democrats at 35 favorable. The Democrats are less popular than the Republicans now.
So Democrats are less popular than Republicans. That's still with almost all Washington Post, New York Times, The Atlantic, MSNBC, CNN, Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, you can go to bed at night listening to how terrible Trump is with Jimmy Kimmel, wake up in the morning, watch the ladies at The View, and CNN, MSNBC, read The Atlantic, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and you'd think that Trump was going to sell the country to Martians. But still, the average, more people view Democrats as unfavorable. They have a lower favorability rating. And you have an upcoming Supreme Court victory for President Trump, imminent. It's going to get 19, possibly now 19 more seats. So Republicans keep the House, or will likely keep the House. Hit subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. Go to the pinned comment, H.A. Goodman, join the live stream. Thank you.